blessed lunar eclipse. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome from me too. Thank you, Rasul, for opening the room and inviting all of you to take your seats in the temple, in the circle, the great virtual circle that we are sitting in tonight. This feels like a very powerful, potent moment in the unfolding and the evolution of our practice tonight, today, and all these years, and also in the world. So I don't even really know where to begin. If there are any of you who are new to this call, I welcome you especially. My name is Cynthia Jurs, and we've been gathering for this global healing meditation that works with the Earth Treasure Vases for 34 years. Amazing. Yeah, and the full moon is such an enhancement to this meditation because, of course, the full moon is said to multiply our intentions many thousandfold every time we practice in relationship to the full moon. And as Rasul mentioned, we have an eclipse happening, the first eclipse in the eclipse season this year. And the next eclipse will be on the new moon of April 8th, which is even more powerful than this one. I recently had a conversation with my dear friend David Nickel, who many of you may know, astrologer and former co-host of the Earth Treasure Vase meditation. And he's a fantastic astrologer, if you aren't aware of that. And he was telling me about the astrology for this time, including the time when we will be in Washington, D.C. for the pilgrimage with the treasure vase that is going to be going there in April, which I'll circle back to in a minute. But for now, I just want to say, as we always do, that this practice came to us from a lama named Charak Rinpoche, who was a very old, wise man living in a cave. As I have recounted every full moon for all these 34 years, because it's just such a incredible mythic tale that I had the opportunity to meet him and ask him a question and to, part of the extraordinary circumstances of that situation is that it actually occurred to me to ask such a good question. Strikes me as pretty funny right now because I was just stumbling along, not knowing what to do with this opportunity, and then this, really came into my heart about what can we do to bring healing and protection to the earth. And so that has been my guiding question of this lifetime, and now you all are helping to answer that question with me, because it is something that is so much larger than any one of us can even hope to do on our own. But I was given this practice. It comes from Tibet, the 8th century, when Guru Rinpoche Padmasambhava predicted times of great deterioration and distress on the earth, and gave this as a remedy, something that we could do in these times, because surely we are, we have arrived in the times when this great unraveling was predicted. And so going to Washington, D.C. with an earth treasure vase is something we've talked about for a long time, but we have never done until now. And the timing of it is coinciding with this election year, with a tremendous amount of volatility in the world and polarization, you know. And so the astrology, as I was going to say, I'm not an astrologer, so I can't really talk very intelligently about it, but there's a transit between Jupiter and Uranus that will be exact on April 20th, which is right in the middle of the time that we'll be there. And so David was saying it kind of portends a breakthrough between the old era and the new era that is birthing, you know, through all the changes that are taking place and the awakening that we're participating in, this collective awakening that is occurring, that we want to very much contribute to every time we gather on the full moon. So I feel like I want to draw attention to this in the sense that I think it's important that we try very much to stabilize our reactivity in relationship to what's going on in the world, and to be very conscious about the spirit that we're feeding in our actions, but also in our thoughts and our feelings and our intentions. So it's a time to really practice mindfulness. You know, it's a time to really come into our hearts. And luckily, this practice facilitates that. And so let's really claim this as a time to arrive in a place of stability and calm, in order to alleviate the anxiety that we might be feeling about how things are unfolding in the world today. And especially to support Judith Tripp, who is here with me on this call, who is the steward of this very important treasure vase for Washington, D.C., and those of us who are accompanying her. And there's quite a wonderful group that has come together to do this. So we will need your spiritual support as well. And that's something that we can start to really cultivate tonight for the benefit of all, you know. Luckily, the cherry blossoms will, I hope, still be in bloom in Washington, D.C. in April when we go there and bring their beauty. And I managed to suggest to Judith that someone in Washington could gather up blossoms to put around the vase as we bury it, which just feels like a really lovely thing to do. So so here we are. I want to introduce you, Judith, but I also want to invite Rasul Bravo, who is in Colombia at the moment, who I work closely with, to share a few words, because before we gathered, she was speaking to her own perspective about the times that we're in and about the opportunity to take the vase. And just as a way in, Rasul, if you wouldn't mind sharing a few words with everyone as well, I would love that.
Hello, everyone. Greetings from El Cauca. I am in Colombia at an eco-village called the Atlantida, a place of seeding, a place of convergence, a place where ceremonies from the Lakota, from the Native American, have arrived to Colombia and then trickled down to South America. This is the place where the first sun dance was held in South America with the permission granted to the first man that danced in a Lakota circle from South America, Abuelo Alfonso. And so I am here at a retreat of dances of universal peace, grace, the grace that is inherent in the time of transformation and rebirth that we are in. The support that is here has just aligned it so that I can share with you and transmit some of the cultivated connection between self and divinity together in communion of people tracing that scent of spirit. And so I send this to you. I send that remembrance, that recognition of the flame that is lit within us and that we get to cultivate in this life, to accompany this moment where we see the way that the oppression of the human spirit has distorted the order of life of creation and simultaneously cooked us from the delusion of separation to this great golden dawn that is happening as we sit and reckon and de-armor and come together and learn how to listen and behold the awakening of the intelligence of the body and of the hive. And lastly, I will denote, as Cynthia said, that we are in a pop-up Tholos. In our journey to Greece, we got to visit Athena Pronea's temple, which is one of the oldest places where humans were aware of their correspondence with all of creation, where we're in celebration and exaltation of the invitation and the opportunity to make an offering to the great miracle that is life on earth. And I give thanks, and also feeling grateful for the alignment of the eclipse, which is an interesting one. It is an interesting alignment that we are here during an eclipse. Regularly speaking, it is not a time of manifestation. Our ancestors really took this time to go inwards, as there's a shadow cast. It's a time of revelation. It's a time where we can reflect. And so feeling what is wanting to be heard. It says that eclipses are a time where time is sped up. Eclipses propel our destiny. Eclipses cannot be manipulated. They perpetuate the inevitable. They open new doors by slamming others shut. And so recognizing that the inevitable is the awakening of the human spirit, is a time of returning to the cycles of the earth. It's a time of returning to our correspondence to each other and to the opportunity to be alive together at this time. So thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Rasul, and many blessings to you and all of your community in Colombia at this time. I did notice that your internet is pretty unstable, my dear. So you were kind of coming in and out a little bit. So I think I'm going to ask you, Elizabeth Christine, if you would like to help lead the meditation tonight after we hear from Judith. And so I'll start us off and would welcome you, Elizabeth, to jump in and take Rasul's position in the meditation since she's in that in between in between worlds. So thank you so much for also being here. And anyway, now I would love to turn to you, Judith, and just to let everyone know that Judith is becoming a very dear sister to us in this global healing mandala. She is a labyrinth facilitator, deeply so, having been involved for many, many years in that practice, as well as being a therapist, marriage and family therapist, and trained in transpersonal psychology. Judith has worked with the Dream Quest, the Women's Dream Quest at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco since the 80s, and leads retreats and workshops and pilgrimages all around the world. She's got a special connection to Chartres Cathedral, where there is that incredible labyrinth, as well as the ancient Avalon in the British Isles. And she calls her work Circle Way, encompassing her healing and her spiritual counseling, as well as her psychotherapy practice. So Judith is also a musician. She plays the flute and is a writer, and just carries so much beautiful medicine and has brought so much of it to our circle. She came into my life through our mutual friend, Marge McCarthy, who practiced with me in mindfulness practice back in the 90s, and also came with me on one of the early Earth Treasure Vase pilgrimages to India. And Marge was also a great believer in and practitioner of the labyrinth practice, and brought labyrinths to many places on the planet, actually, and had a kind of dream of connecting the Earth Treasure Vase and the labyrinth practice, and wanted very much to bring a treasure vase to Washington, D.C. It was a dream that she held, and came to me shortly before we did the retreat at Ghost Ranch, where we crafted the third generation of treasure vases with Marion Naranjo. And Marge said that she knew just the person who should steward the vase, and that would be Judith. Marge was already in her 90s at that time and was beginning to slow down. She was amazing mover and shaker, Marge McCarthy, and I think both Judith and I loved her very much. She died in October of last year, but before she died, we were able to let her know that Judith had finally found the location for the treasure vase in Washington. And so Marge knew that before she passed away, and we were so glad that that had been able to happen. So without further ado, let me pass it over to you, Judith, and look forward to hearing whatever you'd like to say about this.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you so much. And so lovely to see so many faces that are my new friends in this wonderful practice, and some very old and lovely friends from before. There's a kind of a coalescence of my worlds going on with this treasure vase. And as all these things seem to give us opportunity for, it's the relationships and the love between us that carries the day and carries the vases forward. So let me just tell you a little bit about the story that how this came to be. I mean, I realize I am relatively new, and many of you have been at this practice for decades. And what am I doing holding a vase for Washington, D.C.? And I'm kind of going between being awed by that and a little afraid. What in the world is going to happen when we're doing this in that particular place? So back and forth, but there's been such a through line of serendipity and beauty about how this has all come to pass that I really trust that it's going to be wonderful. Yeah, as Cynthia said, Marge I've known her since 2000, I guess. We met in Chartres Cathedral. And I was leading a small group, and she was a participant in the practice that we do with Veriditas. That's the name of the organization that I'm part of, that runs labyrinth pilgrimages and trainings for everyone working the labyrinth. And we both had a deep, deep love for Chartres. And the more I think about what Chart has to do with all of this, it seems to me like there is something from Western civilization that's coming to catch us in all this. Last year, when you all were bearing the treasure vase in Delphi, I was in Chart, attuning to you. And that was a remarkable experience, and you know, how that happened together. And I think that Chart, in my understanding of it, is this place that has carried the sacred feminine through all kinds of different Western iterations, from way back, from the Druids into probably even before that, there was an Egyptian temple in this place. And like many places in Europe, there's this layering of different cultures that carry a wisdom tradition all the way through. In some ways, you know, a parallel to the Tibetan traditions that we are practicing in this practice. So Chart then became a place where the sacred feminine was manifest as the goddess, and then along came Christianity and Mary. And Mary has had a strong presence in Chart ever since. And there's a sense of the depth of that sacred feminine practice that that has just been a revelation to me in my life. So it does seem like all that connects up to this vase. I was wondering, why did I take her to Chart last year? And just a couple of days ago, and it was like, of course, this is catching that thread, catching that stream of energy that comes from the European tradition, from the Western tradition, from our indigenous ancestors, truly, most of us being European descent. So I love that I think Marge, in some part of her wisdom, knew this. And when she had a vision that a labyrinth and a treasure vase were to be joined and into Washington, D.C. in this time. I mean, Marge had this vision during the worst of the end of Trump and the beginning of the pandemic, and all that was going on while she had this vision. So I think there's something wonderful going on here about what this vase encompasses. And hopefully there will be more and more of that, is how the whole world represents itself in this place. And I think in the highest ideals of our country, what I like to call America of the heart, that is not America of the news and not America of the last part of our history, but some ideal flame, as Rasul was mentioning, some ideal flame that could be rekindled, especially if we really take time to tune into it and cultivate it. So that's a lot of what I'm hoping will occur in this gathering of incredible wise people who are coming together in Washington, D.C. And that's something of the vision of what I'm imagining is going to happen here. So just to get back though to the how we got here, in March originally thought maybe we should have a labyrinth put on the mall in Washington, D.C. It should be a monument, it should be, you know, marble. Nancy Pelosi should walk on it every day after she was done with her work in the Capitol. And we tried. We had a committee, and we got, you know, we talked to people and tried to talk to Congress people and Deb Haaland, and Marge is a woman who would not be stopped. Yeah, anybody who knows her knows that's true. And so for a year or so, we had a committee that included Lars Howlett, who will be listening to this call, I think, who's a young man who's a labyrinth wonder. And Marge and a couple other people drifted in and out. But about 2022, we sort of let it go just for a bit because nothing was happening. There was somebody building the labyrinth at an Episcopal church, and that sounded like a good possibility, but mysteriously they never responded after I wrote them a very wonderful proposal. So, and then in the meantime, I buried the treasure vase that I crafted at Ghost Ranch in Scotland, which is also in the energetics of the Western world. And knowing how important that was in Mother Gaia, in nature, it started making me realize that this one can't be underneath concrete or marble or anything else, that maybe it needed to be buried in nature. And I thought, Washington, D.C., nature. I've only been there a few times in my life, and all I've seen is the monuments and the buildings and the important officialdom of Washington, D.C. But then I mentioned this to a friend of mine who had lived in D.C., and she goes, I know exactly where you're supposed to put it. And we're going to keep that rather secret, but she did know exactly where it was supposed to be. And then I started to imagine it. And coincident with that, I started to have this dreaming of a sylvan area, a stream, small stream, and the burial was going to be on the left side of it. And that just persisted. It just kept telling me that's what I want. So, so fast forward now to last summer when I met up with Marianne. I see you on this call somewhere, Marianne. Hello, dear. And Lars and I were all in Chicago at the Parliament of the World's Religions. And I was telling the story of that. We need to find a place to put the treasure vase in DC. And Marge and Lars very kindly agreed to go scout and look around. Marianne lives in Virginia, and Lars left California and moved to Silver Springs just in the nick of time. So they started to look, and then they were joined by dear Louise, who is also on this call, who is a minister at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Washington, D.C., called All Souls. And the three of them got together and thought about different places where it could be. And Louise is, and I'm going to ask her to speak a little bit after I finish, just a fount of information about esoteric Washington, D.C., and also someone who knows deeply that land. And what's come clearer to me since I made my visit a couple of weeks ago is how watery a land it is. That, as we in Western civilization have so misguidedly done, we've built stuff on top of watery lands. And there are, that's what's happening to the cherry trees in Washington, D.C., that water is, coming in from the ocean, and lots of things are off with the water system. Mm-hmm. So, so that started to be really clear. And Lars and Marianne and Louise and I have had several meetings, and we started to imagine, what would it be like to have a pilgrimage and to really tune into some of the themes in American history that need healing and repair. So this pilgrimage is going to be one where we actually go to the Museum of Native American History and also to the African American Museum. And not to go as tourists, but to go as sensitive humans, tuning into these particular streams of American history. And we'll talk, we'll have counsel together and see what we have to say to each other and to the vase. So the vase holds both our feelings, whatever they may be, and on our hopes. So that's the intention. And as is always the case in these sorts of things, other things will happen as well. We will be moved, I think, in all kinds of ways. So your support is absolutely necessary. I've been looking forward just to seeing you all with this intention, and whatever prayers come today to the vase, to feel the circle that surrounds us all in this world. So,
Judith,
yeah.
could you just, I've been very struck by your persistent call to us to make a connection with the history around both the African American and the indigenous original people of the land, and how DC was built, and what sacrifices were made to do that. I think this is part of one of the core issues that we're honing in on in this practice now. There's quite a few core wounds if we're talking about global healing, but this is one of them. And so I'd love to just ask you briefly, because I know we want to hear from Louise as well, but just to kind of name what we're going to bring in there, because you just barely touched on it, and I think it's really important.
Yeah, well, we're going to go as a group of mindful humans to visit these museums. So that'll be on the Saturday of our pilgrimage. And then the way I see it, that we'll come back and speak of whatever we've experienced. And I've been buoyed by listening to Joanna Macy's last video that she did in November, where she talks about things are really tough and the only way through is to speak about it and to hold each other while we do. And that something healing happens in that experience. And I can imagine that may be the case. We can't go to those museums without a lot of feeling, I think, and a lot of reckoning. And those words, I think we've been in that period of reckoning in our civil society, certainly since 2020. And hopefully we will bring our best selves to this and see what that does. It's an experiment, truly, Cynthia. I don't know what will happen exactly, but I trust people, bringing their whole selves present. And I know the people that are coming, some of my dear friends and some new dear friends from the Sangha. And I think we're going to find something very interesting from this. And yeah, and then to say, that this all came to me in the middle of the night once, and a lot of things have come to me in the middle of the night lately to do it that way, So, and I know we also spoke, Cynthia, about taking the vase to Black Lives Matter Plaza and walking toward the White House, where there's an imaginal vase buried, right?
Right. I was going to
Yeah.
mention that we, some time ago, the stewardship council for this community meets on the new moon, and we were really working with the idea of bringing a treasure vase to Washington, D.C., and did some virtual burials on the White House lawn, and it was quite powerful, and I'm sure it contributed to seeding the intention that we actually bring an actual treasure vase there. So we'll go to the White House lawn as close as we can, and really focus there as best we can. And so, with all of these threads that are being woven into this particular treasure vase, I think the hope is for all of you to join us, in strengthening those prayers as much as we possibly can. So, yeah.
Yeah, I want to just emphasize one more time how important the water is, and I think Louise would speak to this too. In late February, I went to DC, and I've been 4 or 5 times in my life. I live in California, but this is the first time I knew it as an ecosystem, and to walk into the park and to feel the flow of water around, and it didn't seem so daunting as Washington, DC can seem. And I think if we go down to the deepest level of land, of earth without humans, that this is a lovely watery land, and the Piscataway people, who are the original humans to be on this land, call themselves people of the waters. So I think we're going to discover more about that, but we'll tune in that deep. I think there, again, layers upon layers that we can tune into and bring this face to bear there. Yeah. Hey, so can we ask Louise to say a few words?
Please, would love to hear from you, Louise.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. I just want to start with gratitude to Cynthia for this practice, for this beautiful, beautiful legacy that I've been able to be on the full moon calls, I think, for about 8 years. Usually I'm in the dark here because I'm with the moon and not saying much. But it's been powerful for me as an anchor practice. And then more gratitude to Judith as the steward of this vase. I'm still amazed that it has been the confluence that has occurred, and the threads that were with me have joined in this way, which has felt so magical at times. I guess it was a few years ago during a full moon call. I had a vision, experience that an earth treasure vase had jumped into my lap here in DC. It was while Julian was playing. And I started writing about that and reaching out to some others I knew from another spiritual practice group that came to these calls and said, I feel like an earth treasure vase is coming to DC, but I don't know where it is or what it is. So I just started paying attention to who might be naming that. And I always felt like it had something to do with the waters. The Potomac and Anacostia rivers converge here along with Rock Creek Park. And that it had specifically to do with the histories of indigenous peoples here and formerly enslaved peoples. You know, the entire mall is full of buildings that were built by enslaved peoples. And so it's at the root of the history here. And this has been a crossroads for indigenous peoples in the kind of trading culture, but also the treaty culture. We could call it the breaking of treaty culture, where people were brought in to make deals that were then not honored. And so there's just layers of that history in this place. And I am a Unitarian minister, and the place that I serve, All Souls, has been here over 200 years and is deeply embedded in those histories. And I felt like it would have something to do with All Souls as well. So we are going to be able to have this pilgrimage group come to All Souls on the Sunday of that weekend. I picked Earth Day because that would be a time that we could anchor some of Cynthia's teaching, and I'm really pleased she'll be offering the Vase meditation as the service within the service, and then be doing a book event too afterwards for Summoned by Earth, which is great. And the labyrinth has also been an interesting aspect of this. Lars Howlett, who was mentioned, when he came into the group and we started doing Zoom meetings, we talked about having labyrinths at All Souls on that weekend for people to participate in that practice. And he said, I've had this vision of doing a labyrinth at All Souls for about 10 years. I said, why? I said, my grandfather is a former minister there. So his grandfather served in this congregation and was part of the civil rights movement from there. So there's just been a lot of synchronicity that's been incredible. So I feel astounded and excited and glad to be part of the pilgrimage group. And I think my role is kind of hospitality and host in the region, and to do what I can to smooth the way and be part of the team. So I'm very excited to meet everybody that's coming in to DC in just a few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Louise and Judith. I don't know if all of you can feel. Yeah, go ahead, Judith.
There are just two more pieces I just wanted to say. One is that Liza Jane is making a basket to house our vase. So do you have it? Ah, that's beautiful.
Say something, Liza Jane, so we can bring you forward on our screens to see the basket.
Okay. So as I went on the Women's Dream Quest with Judith when she came to Virginia recently, and I've done some, I followed my mother into the labyrinth many, many years ago. And then after she passed away, I came to New Mexico and found that I must find my own way. And then Cynthia said that, and I was like, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this. I've been making these baskets since I was a child, but this is the first time I've ever made one where I focused on the inside of the basket because Judith asked for certain dimensions. And so I started this basket in a forest labyrinth after Judith requested. So the center of this, it's like a path. So I started it in the center of the forest labyrinth. It has this a lid. So I started the lid, and then I started the basket as well in the labyrinth. And then I completed the basket at the edge of the labyrinth. So on the edge of the basket. So I'll be sending this to Judith very soon. And it came together in a way that I felt like it was really telling me what to do. There's a wrapping and a stitching, and I just naturally started chanting the mantra. So this basket is imbued with the energy of the mantra, and it's just so filled with love. And I just feel so honored, Judith, that you ask.
Oh, thank you so much, Liza Jane. I haven't seen it all complete, so it is so beautiful, and the vase will be very happy in there. Absolutely.
And Judith I think you will affix a labyrinth to the top of it. Yes. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, we'll be all set. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and can I say just one more thing about labyrinths? Because I'm sure most of us know about them, but after, gosh, 30 years of labyrinth walking and working with it, there's something about labyrinths that I think is just very synchronous with this practice, is that it's said that labyrinths show up in cultures when the need is great. I mean, almost like a terma, they come back. And they've been part of, Lauren Artris, who's my my dear friend and who founded Veritas, was just caught by this practice back in the early 90s also. And then she's brought labyrinths to the whole world. So there's something about, a long marinating harvesting kind of practice that's all imbued in all this too. There's something very wonderful about things coming to fruition. So I think Marge's intuition about how the labyrinth and the Earth Treasure Vase practice somehow weave together, I think is something we're going to be discovering. And yeah.
Wow.
So that's it.
Well, we need all the medicine we can possibly muster right now. So it's wonderful to connect with these different practices and bring them together in this way. So let's turn our attention now to the meditation. And just thank you all so much. The mantra that Liza Jane mentioned is the mantra of the Sublime Mother Gaia that some of you have been studying with me. And maybe at the end today, Liza Jane, we can sing that mantra together. Be really nice after the meditation. So for now, what we do is we usually turn off our videos because it's a bit of a long meditation. And so without the distraction of all the activity on screen, invite you to turn off your video, and we'll come back to each other when the meditation is over. Towards the end of the meditation, Julian Silburn will come into the meditation with his didgeridoo to take us into a deeper experience of what it is that we're invoking. And so please let him carry you even more deeply, and then we'll finish it up and open the circle for sharing, for offering prayers and intentions and whatever reflections are coming to you that the vase could hold in this case. So that's the plan. and I'll see you on the other side. So let's begin by taking a few deep breaths. In and out, deep and slow. Just to come back into the present moment, feeling your body relax with each breath, sensing the ground beneath you, holding you, offering stability and calm. Taking refuge in this beautiful blue-green planet we call home. Feeling your roots reaching deep down into the earth. And breathing in and drawing up through your taproot the nourishing energies and life force of Mother Earth. The life force coming in through the breath and flowing out through the breath as we commune and conspire with her. And with each breath, letting the thoughts of the past and the concerns for the future just melt away. And in this precious moment of communion with each other and with the earth, let us also open to the light from above, from the stars and the moon and the sun. Feeling the expansiveness that comes with remembering our place in the entire cosmos. Rooted below, connected above and within this circle. Breathing together. And let's take a moment to also feel our connection to the place where we are right now. Our relationship to the soils and stones and waterways, the forests and flowers, all the communities of life who call these habitats their home. And who also receive stability and nourishment from Mother Earth and the warmth from the sun and the moon, just like we do.
And in this present moment, in this special place, we acknowledge those who have come before us. We acknowledge the ancestors of the original indigenous people of the lands we inhabit. who have been in sacred relationship with our lands for countless generations. We acknowledge the future ancestors of this land, who will continue to hold this land as sacred for countless generations to come. And we humbly invite all of them to bless us and our practice. And let's also call on our sources of inspiration, our own ancestors, elders, teachers, and guides, lineage masters, Buddhas, and bodhisattvas, and wisdom beings that we feel connected to. Invite them all to be present with us now. Invite their blessings to enter you and everyone who is present for this meditation. And receive the blessing of their love, support, guidance, and healing clarity. As this blessing enters you, feel this love and caring coming all the way into your deepest heart of hearts. Breathe it in. And breathing out, send this love to everyone who is present in our circle. Breathing in, receive the love that is being sent by others. Breathing out, sending love. Breathing in, receiving. Like the ebb and flow of the tides, washing blessings among us in this circle. And gradually expand your focus to include all of your friends, family, and community, all those who this practice may serve. Imagine our circle gradually growing from our home, neighborhood, through the bioregion, country, and continent, to include all beings in all places, everywhere, embracing the whole planet with our love, breathing in, breathing out with Gaia.
And now with this feeling of rootedness below and expansiveness above, and waves of love flowing from your heart, let's turn our awareness to those who are suffering, to the places where there is war, poverty, disease, pollution, droughts or floods or fires, wherever the need for healing is very great. And breathe in this suffering. And on the out breath, send your love and caring to relieve the suffering of the earth, of her people, and of all life all around the whole planet. Imagine that where there is hunger, great nourishing gardens begin to grow. Where there is thirst, fresh, clean waterways spring up. Where there are unhoused, safe shelters are built. Where there is war and conflict, choirs of peace echo in the hills. Where there is sickness, vital health is celebrated. and aware of where the earth is unstable, in danger, or out of balance in any way, imagine a restoration of balanced power, bringing protection and regeneration as you hear the land sing out in harmony. And see the generosity and reciprocity in communities of life flowing freely, seeing the beauty and riches of nature flowering into abundance for the sustenance of life, revitalizing this radiant blue-green planet we call home.
As we hold this glowing vision of Mother Earth, we call into our awareness the presence of the earth treasure vases that have been planted or are in the process of being planted around the world. Let us imagine that together we are pouring our love and caring in the form of light into every little pot buried in the body of Mother Earth, filling each vase with our deepest prayers and blessings for healing. Imagine each earth treasure vase radiating light in every direction, sending healing and protective energies wherever it is needed, in whatever form it is needed. See the light like a rainbow streaming forth from each of the vases, white, yellow, red, blue, green, and all the colors in between. And breathing in and breathing out, allow the feeling of caring and compassion in your heart of hearts to grow. Send that love out in the form of light to all people, animals, plants, and places that are connected to the earth treasure vases that need healing and protection in the past, in the present, and in the future.
Beginning at the center of the Earth Treasure Vase Global Healing Mandala in a cave above Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, the birthplace of the atomic bomb. And to the north, at the source of the Rio Grande River in Creede, Colorado. To the south, at the mouth of the Rio Grande, at the Gulf of Mexico. To the east, on top of Mount Baldy above Santa Fe. And to the west, on Mount Chacoma, known as Tsikamu, to the Tewa people of New Mexico, who are the custodians of the sacred lands where this mandala began. And having established the center and the four directions, see the mandala growing in every direction to the Indian Point Nuclear Reservation on the Hudson River in New York, to the Headwaters Old Growth Redwood Forest in Northern California, the Punta Cometa on the coast of Oaxaca in Mexico, Vilcabamba, Ecuador, Jakova, Kosovo, the Lawrence Laboratory at the University of California in Berkeley, the Tao Dum Forest on the border of Thailand and Burma, the village of Ein Karam in Israel, Palestine, Hiroshima, Japan, the cloisters in New York City after 9/11, the Biosphere 2 in Oracle, Arizona, the Martin Luther King Freedom Center in Oakland, California. The source of the Ganges in India, the source of the Amazon in Peru, the Southern Pacific Ocean, 93 feet down in Agum Atoll, the Trobriand Islands, Papua New Guinea, the Arctic Circle, Alaska, the Kogi lands of the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, Colombia, Telawoyan Village, Lofa County, Voinjama District, Liberia, West Africa, the Blyde River Canyon, Limpopo Province, South Africa, the Giza Plateau, Egypt, Haleakala, Maui, Hawaii, the Itombwe Forest, South Kivu Province, Democratic Republic of Congo, Avebury, England, Bindaluk, Jawan Country, Catherine, Northern Territory, Australia.
And the second generation of Earth Treasure Vases, beginning in Gaborone, Arnhem Land, Australia, and the Mackenzie King Park, Ottawa River Valley, Ottawa, Gatineau, Canada. The original garden in the Findhorn, Scotland. The great stupa of Bodhanath in Kathmandu, Nepal. The Flint Hills of Kansas in the heartland of America. The Santa Cruz Mountains near Silicon Valley, California. The Valles Caldera of northern New Mexico. Pernalulu, Bungles, the Kimberleys, Australia. And the village of Utqiagvik in the edge of the sea of northernmost Arctic Alaska. The Hanford Nuclear Reservation on the shores of the Columbia River in the state of Washington. Mount Ryosen above Fukushima, Japan. Back to where it all began at the cave hermitage of Charak, Nepal. To Margibi County, Liberia, in the base of an old ironbark tree in Dithawol Mountain in the Budawang Wilderness of Walbunja Country, Yun Nation, southeastern Australia. And to the Root Temple, Tolo Tharling Monastery in Nepal. The Munzer Valley in Turkey. Serpent Mound in Ohio. The Ashaninka Spiritual Portal. Campo de Rio Amania, indigenous land, Acre, Brazilian Amazon, bordering Peru. The Border Peace School, Cherawan, the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. In Nabusamaki, Arawako territory in Colombia, in Akaroa, South Island, New Zealand, and on Mount Parnassus above Delphi in Greece, and on Sibyl Mountain, Le Marche region, Italy.
And the third generation of Earth Treasure Vases in Antarctica, in the Isle of Lewis, in the Outer Hebrides, Scotland. the Saugatuck Dunes on Lake Michigan in the United States, to the Highwood Valley in the Rocky Mountains of Alberta, Canada, southeastern U.S., Turtle Island, Shakanoga, Tennessee, on the shores of Lake Washington in Kirkland, Washington, near the Life Care Center where COVID began, and in the Permian Basin, New Mexico. Let's also include the Earth Treasure vases being stewarded now, 12 second-generation vases, and 16 third-generation vases, and 5 second-generation vases awaiting their destination and their dedication, resting on the altar along with the mother vase.
So once again, please take a deep, slow in breath and a deep, slow out breath. And imagine that all that is needed to relieve the suffering of the earth can be seen as light radiating out from each of the earth treasure vases all around the whole planet in every direction. Imagine this healing light flowing out from the vases, filling the whole global earth treasure vase mandala with the powerful energies of our love and caring. See this healing force traveling through the song lines and meridians of the earth, flowing into each location on the global mandala. See the mandala like a web of light embracing the whole planet. Feel the light flowing back and forth like waves from your heart to the earth treasure vases, energizing them and adding vitality and brilliance to the light that is then flowing out to the whole area in the sphere of influence of each of the earth treasure vases. Now imagine this light flowing into your own location, your special spot in nature, and feel the collective spiritual intelligence of the entire global Earth Treasure Vase mandala activating your node on the global healing mandala and entering you as a holy vessel.
Finally, let us focus now on the Earth Treasure Vase for Washington, D.C. to send our support in the form of light, to embrace this holy vessel and the stewards who are assembling as they prepare for this pilgrimage and gather prayers and offerings for the journey. Please focus your concentration single-pointedly on bringing healing and protection to the whole earth for all time. See the healing and protection radiating out from all the vases around the earth in waves of light, flowing back and forth endlessly. And imagine that the healing is accomplished and the vitality of the earth is completely restored.
And now, recognizing the great interconnected web of life on earth, of which we are each a part, let's give thanks for this precious, sacred time and pray that the compassion and peace that is our true condition may bring supreme happiness and benefit to the earth and all beings. And with another deep, slow in-breath and deep, slow out-breath, let's bring our awareness back to our bodies, feeling our feet on the floor, grounded on the earth in our own location, wiggling our toes, opening our eyes, and returning to the circle for sharing prayers and making offerings.
Siddhi Prabhu Om Gaya Mandala 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 Siddhi Prabhu
Thank you so much, Julian and Liza Jane. So the circle is open for connecting with the treasure vase that Judith is holding open for you to pour your hearts into. We'll start with you, Olivia.
Hi, everyone. Judith, I wanted to offer from the British Columbia vase blessings to the Washington, D.C. vase, and just name that Maggy, Kaplan, and I are co-stewarding this vase, and we're planning to bury her also on Earth Day. And so we both wanted to name that special connection between our vases and sending greetings from the western part of Turtle Island to the eastern part of Turtle Island, that we're one island in a way, Canada and the United States. And there's so many different blessings I could offer because there's so many layers that need to be healed. And Washington, D.C. is such a pivotal point for those. Since our vase has a lot to do with Indigenous cultures, I want to name that we hope that these vases will help to support the daylighting of Indigenous cultures and the flowering of the wisdom of Indigenous cultures in ways that can stabilize and heal the racial divides and the many polarizations that are happening in the world. And I've mentioned this before, I live near a reconciliation totem pole. And so I'd like to offer that blessing also to the Washington, D.C. vase. It's not a labyrinth, it's a healing pole. And maybe it's a kind of terma as well. At the bottom of the pole, it depicts the times before colonization. And then as you start to look up higher on the pole, you see the horrors of the residential schools that were not just in Canada, but were in the United States and parts of Europe and different parts of the world. And then at the top of the world, there's a new vision for a beautiful future where we can canoe together different cultures into the kind of future that we imagine would balance power, masculine and feminine, in the most beneficial ways. Yeah, so there's so much more, but I see Maggy's hand, so I want to let Maggy also speak.
Thank you so much, Olivia. May it be so. just an invitation to let's not all just raise our hands and back up a big line of people wanting to share, but give it a breath. We've got 3 people with their hands raised right now, and let's let them share, and then, kind of slowly come in, because we might be moved in different ways at different times throughout the call. So just to give space also for people who might not have ever shared before. All right. But I welcome you, Gary, to share your voice with us. Thank you.
Thank you. I live in Prescott, Arizona, near about an hour away from Sedona. So I wanted to try to show this. This is a rose quartz heart, and Wendy Dudley is also here, but I will give her space later if time allows to talk about the source of this and the purpose. But I recently received several of these from Wendy. This particular rose quartz heart is going to be buried during Earth Day, during the cusp of Earth Day, near the headwaters of the Verde River in Paulden, Arizona, maybe about an hour away from where I live. Others will be buried or seeded, as the term goes, in other locations where I'm traveling during the course of this year, most particularly in the fall. So that's what I wanted to share. The rose quartz heart is kind of a companion of sorts to the treasure vases.
Yes. Thank you very much. So good to hear from you, Gary, and know that is happening at the same time. All right, Michelle.
Good to be here, and so grateful that this is coming to DC, and to hear the story of the connection, the inspiration to add together, join together Labyrinth and at Washington, and the story is inspiring to me. And I kept seeing a vision of the layers of falsities and truths, like a hall of mirrors there in Washington. It's so hard. It's hard. The truth is often hidden in those layerings, and that keep getting layered on, that are more obvious and chaotic. So they on top, of the original intentions and ideals that may have been in the seeding of Washington, D.C., for the good of humanity, and in sync with those, and also in sync with the illusions that were also a part of that, in sync with the land. I kept feeling like this hall of mirrors feeling, and then Indra's net of jewels. It's like mirrors, and I am offering a mirror to flash the light in all directions to the vase, so that it can receive and flash the light in all directions. And this little round mirror I have actually has on the back of it a singing bird. You are loved. So the sense of harmony with all nature, with this, and for the harmony, the district of compassion. Let it be Washington, D.C., the district of compassion, this ideal yet to be lived in completely. And, you know, this flashing of the living light that Mother embodies. Mahama. Let it be so.
Oh, yes, let it be so. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Maggie, go ahead.
Yeah, Olivia has said most of what we have to say, I guess. But yeah, it's been such an honor to steward this vase together with Olivia for British Columbia. And Michelle, what you just said about the District of Compassion. Well, we're BC. I'm not sure what the B stands for, but a lot of compassion here too. I feel like we're holding hands across the continent right now. It is, yeah, an additional honor to be burying our vase on the same day that this very important vase for District of Columbia is being buried. And there's one other connection that I really did want to mention, is that our vase, when I took her on pilgrimage to Vancouver Island, walked the labyrinth as well. There was a labyrinth on the land of Lynn, who is here today, I think. Lynn hosted that gathering in Duncan, British Columbia. Yeah, on the land of her friend Penny, and Penny and a whole community of women, I think, had made this labyrinth some years before. It's a beautiful stone labyrinth on grass near where a lot of planting and new life was coming up. And yeah, and just hearing about the Washington vase and your connection with the labyrinth made me want to just let you know that our vase has that connection with yours as well. So, and the basis of all of this, these two vases joining the Gaia Mandala on the same day, joining that wonderful network of light and healing and peace. And the basis of all of it is love, and our offering to your vase is love. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maggie. And please know that while we're focusing our attention tonight on the pilgrimage to Washington, D.C., we will be holding you also, you and Olivia, very carefully and consciously and compassionately. Grateful that these two will be going into the earth together. I'm reminded when we started the second generation of burials, there were 3 that were buried right around the same time. That was to Gabermong, Findhorn, and Ottawa River Valley in Canada. And it was such a powerful thing to know that they were going in together, you know, strengthening each other and the whole mandala. So we'll circle back to you two after your vase has found its way into the ground to hear the story. But everyone, please remember that these are both happening at the same time. Yeah. So let's turn our attention now to Jenny Ladd. Love to hear from you.
Hello. I was born in DC, and in the past couple of years, I've also been doing research on ancestors, and one of them was Roger Sherman, who was someone who signed the Declaration of Independence and participated in the writing of the Constitution, and he was an anti-slavery person, but he agreed to have slavery. He agreed to the 3/5. He agreed to many things that led to civil war and to disruption, and that still acknowledged the enslavement of African Americans. And in the process of working with him, with African Americans and other white people who were working on ancestors, a deep sense of sorrow and sort of an unspeakable sense of seeing it unfold, what that agreement had led to, amongst the other things that were positive. But that great deep sadness then has also fueled, I feel in this case, a commitment to apply his vigor and his commitment to those ideals to the evolution of what the United States could be in harmony with the global world, making amends about also work on Indigenous land as well, and taking of Indigenous lands. But I feel this energy. He was a very hard worker and very much believed in the ideals. And I've felt this sense of wanting, and I don't think he's alone. There are other, anti-slavery writers of the Constitution who I'm sure are pouring their energy into making this democracy a viable one. So that's what I offer.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's really, really good to direct our intentions in that kind of way. Jenny, thank you for bringing this to us tonight. Stephen Comey, would you like to share your voice?
Thank you. Yeah, I can't tell you how overjoyed I am that finally we're having an Earth treasure vase buried in Washington, D.C. It feels so, the timing feels so right, and it feels so meaningful to have it there. It felt good when we had the virtual burial on the White House lawn a while ago. But this is much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Hands-on, physical, much more real. I think the other one was also powerful, but this is going to be more powerful. I can just sense the connection between this vase and the one that Olivia and Maggy are also going to be burying on the same day. And speaking of connections, while Liza Jane was very beautifully leading us in the mantra a while ago, I received a package in the mail from New Zealand. And it's from a woman that I had met when I went down for the burial of the vase in New Zealand. And it's a Maori flute made of an albatross wing. And as you may or may not know, the albatross is one of the largest seabirds. And when it's born, when it starts flying, it doesn't come back down for 5 or 6 years. It flies and flies and flies and flies, and eventually it hits the ground and then flies off again. And it seems to me that it's kind of a metaphor for how long it took for this DC vase to become a reality that's going to actually be buried. That it was like the albatross flying around looking for the place to land. So on Earth Day, I won't do it now, but on Earth Day, I will be playing this flute. By then, I hope I can figure out how to play it while it's being buried. And at the same time, partly because of where Olivia and Maggy are burying their vase, I'll play this flute. Oh, you can't see it because I'm on Zoom. This is a Native American flute with an eagle as the bird. Maybe if I have to keep it in front of my face, otherwise it won't show. Anyway, this is an eagle. So I'll be playing this flute as well on that day just to put the music and the harmony into the vases and to help connect them to each other and to the entire Earth Treasure Vase mandala. And right now my basic prayer is just to put harmony into that vase. Harmony in all aspects of life. You know, our own private lives, our collective lives, political lives, just in every aspect of life here on earth. So it is. So may it be.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Very, very much. Beautiful. Beautiful offering. Yeah, okay. Wendy in Alberta.
Thank you. And dark and snowy yet again, but that is okay because I'm really feeling rays of sunshine here. The only word or the forefront word that I want to put into this DC vase is Ubuntu. Ubuntu, and all that that word carries. It's an African word, can be interpreted various ways, but essentially means humanity to others. And I think that's so appropriate for this vase. And some will say it's the same as saying, you know, we are who we are because of who we all are, or I am what I am because of who we all are. So Ubuntu. And Olivia, there is an Indigenous Canadian artist who won Junos last night and is a man who I love dearly, a Sanabi. And what I would like to put into that vase is the title song, which was We Are Here. And we are here. So, blessings.
Thank you, Wendy. Yeah. Yeah, Karen and Steve Cudaby.
Timing is everything. I kept thinking Washington, D.C., that vase would be in the ground a long time before now. And then I'm listening to Jenny, for example, speaking about the founding fathers. And I go, wait a minute, timing is everything. This is the year 2024, when the great cicada emergence is happening on the East Coast, throughout the South, throughout the Midwest. And it's the first time in 221 years that all these different species are coming up from the ground and they will be emerging. And what they're saying is the last time you had this happen was when Thomas Jefferson was president back in 1803. So somehow there's this sense of the last time they emerged, there was this actual statesmanship that was emerging in this newly formed, eventually, country. And my hope is that when we start seeing that we are being supported by the more than human world, that somehow the cicadas are also going to be taking part in the healing of this country. The second thing I want to offer is, as soon as I found out that this was actually happening, and then I found out that my friend Laura Lynn was going to be going so that I could actually give her something to put into the vase, I pulled out my very last stamp of the 1963 March on Washington that my father attended in 1963, and he was there to hear the I Have a Dream speech.
Wow.
And so this is the last stamp that I have. It was brought out in 2011, I think it was 2013, the 50th anniversary. And so it will, if you have space, it will go into the vase. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
So beautiful. Very much so. I'm sure there's room in that little vessel for that stamp. Thank you so much. Yeah. Laura Lynn.
Oh my goodness, I will be happy to be a postmistress general to deliver that stamp. So also, Karen, you did give me something else that seems very appropriate. And as soon as Liza Jane showed me the basket, it made me realize that this beautiful golden labyrinth that you gave me could very nicely fit on the bottom. And then if there's one on the top, we'll have our good labyrinth energy. But this is something that Karen gifted me that I would love to bring. And so I'm going to offer that. And as Julian was playing tonight, for the first time ever, I got a sense of all of the delegations of Native Americans that were sent and chose to go to Washington, D.C. over the years to treat with the Great White Father, to try and tap into that original idea of liberty and justice for all, for our country. Many, many, many people did go and hold council with the some of the original people in Washington. And I think that I'm going to go really proudly in that spirit of all the ones who went before, whether their hopes were taken care of or not. I want to do that. And I've been thinking a lot about the Columbia, obviously District of Columbia, British Columbia are connected. And we're also honoring a beautiful medicine woman from Columbia, Rasul, to make the triple Columbia idea really infused. Anyone who has any thought about what the actual meaning of that is, other than what's obvious, Columbus being the name that is given quite often to the overarching idea of colonization without heart. And so I just know that all these things are woven together, and I'm very grateful to be able to assist and to be connected to all of you with all your beautiful dreams with this. So Chimagwich, Palamaye. Oh, one more thing. Grandmaster Lin Yun, my feng shui teacher, would give us a ritual to do every New Year's, which is called the Golden Cicada Sheds Its Skin. And it's for the most ultimate luck ritual you can do on New Year's Day in the feng shui tradition that he brought us. So I'm thinking those cicadas are all shedding skins for luck. Okay.
Maybe you can bring that with you, Laura Lynn. We can invite the cicadas to be with us very specifically. And thank you. I'm so glad you're coming with us. Yeah, bringing the medicine that you do. Heidi.
Thank you. I want to bring this feather, give this feather to go to the vase, and it comes to me just as a symbol, actually, of that's not only a Native American symbol, but it's actually a symbol for the United States. That, and somehow there's it didn't create the freedom that was supposed to be created through that symbol. It's a spiritual freedom to be who and what your truest nature is. So what I would like to bring to the vase is the remembrance of all peoples have the right to be who they truly are and not be hemmed in or boxed in to an ideal of somebody else's thought, but they have within them the spiritual sovereignty, the spiritual dignity. And that, to me, is what it means to have a flame in your heart that is burning through all that is not you, all that is not what is true. So in the symbol of this feather, that's what it really contains, is it contains that freedom to be who we truly are, which actually is so beyond our incredible dreams, I can't even encompass it. So that possibility of becoming is what I would like to add to that vase, and have it enrich all of the vases that are everywhere on the planet, that we remember that in all of our interactions with all peoples. And when you brought that image of the cicadas coming, I've seen them in those flows, and they vibrate, they buzz, they vibrate, and they will take over everything. They could eat all of the stuff, all of the debris that needs to be eaten away, that is no longer what is needed. So may that symbol and may those beings be able to really do the job. do the job. Anyway, and I also bring this laugh and this smile and this joy to everybody on the call and to the vase, that underneath all of the suffering, there is always joy to be had. So may that somehow bubble up to the surface. I know there is a huge vortex underneath Washington, D.C., and it has not been able to open and fulfill its true purpose. So may what it needs, may it may it be able to get what it needs in order to open and become what its purpose truly is. I didn't mean to say all that stuff, but it just kind of poured out. So thank you for holding the space for it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Received. Leslie Meehan.
Timing is everything, as Karen says, and I have been marveling for a while the synchronicity and the connections that are part of this pilgrimage to DC that I'm going on the pilgrimage, and I've been marveling at how this pilgrimage is weaving together the connections that I've made with so many people over the years, walking different paths. I did the Women's Dream Quest with Judith over 25 years ago, brought many friends to it. I did a ceremony with Louise Green at least 15 years ago with the Gaia Field Project. David Nickel and I with the Gaia Field Council, we sat with whether the Flint vase belonged in DC, because there needed to be one there, but we got that no, it needed to be in the heartland. Those are just several And I was thinking that this is personal, so it wasn't really a story to share with a collective. And in the meditation, I got this vision of really, no, this is um, the truth of this vase becoming this jewel, this flame of the heart of compassion in DC that's going to be there alive, beaming our hearts of compassion. The whole mandala is going to be alive, is becoming alive in DC with our hearts, with our love, and all the connections that we have, and our love for nature, and the cicadas and the whales and all of the indigenous peoples and everybody that and every being that's part of this mandala is coming to life in council in this vase there. And I right now it's just a whole, cosmos coming to DC in my imagination. And I'm just curious what that could look like in terms of a symbol to be in the vase. I've been imagining this something that symbolizes the whole mandala. And I welcome anybody to reach out to me if you have any inspirations about something that you would like to add that I can carry for you, or ideas for what I can bring. But that's what it means to me. It's the magic of this mandala coming to life in the place that is so important, so crucial for the direction that our whole continent and world goes, particularly this year. This timing is just perfect. So may it be so. May the flame of compassion be lit with this vase and all of our love that goes with it.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Leslie. Ray?
Yes, the district of compassion, may it be so. And I especially want to offer tonight the spirit and dedication of my father to those who are accompanying the vase, and to Washington, D.C. itself, and to all of us. My father, I've mentioned him before once over the years. He worked he was a lawyer and did many compassionate things as a lawyer. But one major thing for Washington, D.C. was he, for 10 years, going back and forth with different courts, he defended a Black man who had suffered serious discrimination by Continental Airlines. And his argument was the first argument that won a unanimous decision in favor of Mr. Green, the Black man. And my dad's argument allowed the passage of the Civil Rights Act, because legally what had been holding the Civil Rights Act back was the law that said Black people could not do interstate commerce, and Mr. Green wanted to be a commercial pilot. And so my father was able to make that old and racist law fall and open the door for the Civil Rights Act. So he's deceased now, but his spirit and belief in justice, belief in our possibilities to create justice in the world were tremendous. And he did it with great love. So I want to offer that strength to the vase, to the people carrying the vase, and to our capital as well, with great hope. Thank you.
What was your father's name?
My father's name is T. Raber Taylor, and the Mr. Green was Marlon D. Green. And his daughter is, Mr. Green is deceased, but his family has always been friends, and his daughter is documenting a whole new archive for the case, which is nice.
All right, it's getting to be time to wrap up. So I'm going to call on you, Martha, and then Elizabeth, and then we'll end with you, Julian. Thank you.
Thank you. I was given a spiritual name at some point, Kamal Prem, which is beloved lotus. And several things that have been said tonight made me think of a little joke, but offered in all seriousness. May the swamp not be drained, but be a great source of blooming lotus plants that rise from the mud, seeking the light. And I also think of the lotus as a symbol of the chakras and the hub of energy. And may the lotuses that travel with these vases for the Earth Day burial be full of the lessons learned from being rooted in the mud, but reaching for the light. Thank you.
May it be so. Elizabeth?
Okay, so many beautiful prayers. I just wanted to share that during the didgeridoo playing, I was taken under Washington, D.C., so it was nice to hear people speak about the vortex under there that needs to manifest. And the didgeridoo is just always so penetrating, and I just felt it, you know. And then Tara appeared again, as she did when we were in Australia planting the 29th vase. She appeared to me in the cave of the winds next to Los Alamos, and let me know that the feminine energy was rising and rising into balance, and that we no longer needed to worry about the labs, so to speak, that the energy would disperse. And so that was really beautiful. So I offer Tara to you, to the vase, to the group, knowing that her presence will be there. And my prayer, my deepest intention, I keep thinking about the military might of the US and how much it needs to be transformed. And so I pray that this vase and all our prayers and intentions will water and nourish every seed, like every voice, every leader and organization capable of transforming the military presence of the United States into an enlightened presence, a presence which serves true peace.
May it be so. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. All right, Julian, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, so good to be here with everyone. Yeah, I just echo.
We lost your sound.
might just move.
Uh-oh, we're not hearing you, Julian.
Can you hear us okay now?
Maybe so. Keep talking.
Hello?
Hmm.
Hello?
Yep. Okay. Come in.
Yep, better?
Better. Mm-hmm.
Hearing?
Yes.
I think my reception side is a little bit, yeah, okay. That should be better, yeah?
I think so. You can, if it
Okay.
still seems bad, maybe you can close your video, but don't do it yet.
Okay. Yeah, so, yeah, my prayer for this vase is just all the love and the highest intentions and prayers that everybody has for the capital be easily and readily made access to all those beings who it's like an invitation to their higher self to join this loving, peaceful community, and that may we draw support from all the beings that are also in agreement of this peace and of this sacred right relationship to each other and to nature and to various castes and creeds and religions, and just really be an incredible focal point for a dissolving into the sense of unity in the direction of what is most important for this center and also for the whole planet. And yeah, and just and the support of nature to also support in lots of ways. So you know, the higher self of everybody in positions of power to also receive this invitation to do the right thing to support the change that we all pray for. And I just, that with the cicadas, that's so interesting as well, because every time I play the yidaki, the didgeridoo, a part of what I play in that is the sound of the cicada. And because for me, that is this incredible frequency and incredible choir of nature. And if you slow down it, if you slow down the sounds of cicadas when they're all chirping, and it sounds like choirs of angels. And I've always had, you know, yeah, this connection with the cicadas. I find them incredible beings, and just what they symbolize in terms of singing and unifying in prayer and in communion with the sacred fabric of creation, and how that's strengthening everything. Yeah, it's just, yeah, my intention for this vase, and that we may all from our higher selves position support this vase through receiving premonitions and being ready to be in prayer, or focus our attention on this particular treasure vase and the one in British Columbia for all of its intentions for the greatest good of all, and that may we do what we need to do as a unified field to bring it upon all of our highest intentions and prayers. And I also too very much felt Tara's energy as well, so that I feel like she, you know, her presence will be very strong there, and will continue to hold that energy for this treasure vase. So yeah, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Julian. Yeah. Wow. Well, I guess we have to really invoke those cicadas on this pilgrimage. and all the rest, Tara, Gaia, and all the protectors, all the ones who open the way. So thank you all for everything that you have shared. I'm sort of speechless tonight. It feels kind of momentous, you know, and also like just another step along the way of this profound journey. So I would just again want to say that I look forward to hearing how your journey goes, Maggie and Olivia. And we will be with you in spirit as you will be with us. And thank you so much, Judith, for all that you've done to bring us together to accomplish this little holy vessel. And those of you in Washington, D.C., Louise, Marianne, Lars, who will be listening later. And what a beloved community we have cultivated here over all these years. So thank you all for hanging in here, you know. And sometimes we don't see, or it doesn't seem apparent, you know, what our little clay pots filled with prayers and symbolic offerings are actually, you know, doing. But the change that we're seeking, the healing that we're calling for, starts somewhere. And like we've said many times tonight, this vase has taken a long time for this vase to, you know, get its marching orders and put on its special dress for burial and find its beautiful woven basket and hear the songs that are singing out to it and make its way to its secret burial place. But it's happening. And then who knows, you know, like if there's one thing I've learned in taking these little treasure vases around the world, you can never predict how it will go or what it will, you know, what the causes and conditions are that will create a ripple out. So that keeps us open to the Great Spirit that is informing everything. Some things take a long time, and some things are much quicker. But together, as we say in Congo, together we are strong. And our united and aligned intentions and meditations really do have such a profound effect, as we can each testify in our own lives, showing up for this meditation every month, you know, and how it's enhanced our own capacity. Isn't that right? Yeah. So let's dedicate the merit, as we like to do in this particular version of the meditation, of the dedication of merit, was delivered to us from Stephen Comey, based on Shanti Deva. And it goes like this: for as long as the earth remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may these earth treasure vases too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And through the merits of this practice, may all beings realize their inseparability with Gaia and all life upon her, living in peace and harmony. May there be no more war or conflict, and may all hearts be filled with compassion. The district of compassion resides in our own hearts. Thank you. Alalaho.
Alalaho.
Alalaho. It is wonderful. My friends, be well. Carry it with you into every little opportunity. We'll see you again next month.